Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live, and I'm happy to be here talking toys with you guys. First order of business, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident and optimistic because I got all the numbers plugged in to the Space Zombies from Mars Kickstarter. Everything's looking good. And that was yesterday, and then the and then the Canadian dollar lost a couple cents compared to the US dollar, and so I have to reset them all. However, they're sort of within a parameter that I was expecting, so I'm just happy to sort of have them set and sort of ready to go. We really are just waiting for some back end stuff, but the Kickstarter page is more or less ready to go. So I'm excited. We're going to talk about toys today. And we're going to talk about a lot of toys that aren't Space Zombies from Mars. And then at the end, we'll talk Space Zombies from Mars. And if you guys have any questions about Space Zombies from Mars, I will be happy to answer them when we get to that section. If you start firing them in the comments, I might miss them. But all right. Lots of news in the toy world in the last couple weeks. Lots of reveals, lots of renders, all that kind of stuff. So the last week we had monkey business, so we didn't get to talk about things like the Masters of the Universe Thundercats crossover line from Mattel. We didn't talk about Gem and the Holograms figure, sort of doll figure. I don't know. I mean, I think of it as a figure because I collect figures, so I guess I just think of anything as a figure. But so we're going to talk about that stuff. We're going to talk about the GI Joe renders. I want to talk about Panthor. And what else? That might be just about it. But yeah, it's a bunch of exciting stuff. So good to have you guys here. Let's get right into it. But before we do, just want to say hello to everybody that is in the chat already. Brick something, Collecting Brothers, probably John. Thanos Copter is here. Ray Paz is hanging out for a minute. Game Quest, JMac77, Gabrielle. Good to have you guys all here. Larry's Geeky World, Christopher Bouchard. Let's get into it, shall we? I'm going to start with what is probably maybe the least exciting thing for most people, which is the release of the Gem and the Hologram sort of reissue. You get Gem, with all her accoutrement that you could possibly want. You get a little holograms ticket there. You get a film strip, all this kind of stuff. I was never a Gem in the Holograms guy, but I just think it's cool that they're bringing back some of these properties. This is, of course, coming to us from Loyal Subjects. Loyal Subjects, if you sort of weren't really paying attention, this is from Toy News International, or as I like to call it, Toy Newsy. So Loyal Subjects picked up a bunch of IPs, including Gem and the Holograms. And this is not a one-to-one recreation of the original vintage Gem figure or doll or whatever you want to call it, which to me is kind of good news because they also picked up Mask, if I'm not mistaken. And if they do Mask the way they've done this, I'm going to be very, very excited because, as I said, they didn't do a one-to-one. They updated it a little bit and kind of changed it and tweaked it and made it a little bit better, I would say. So I'm thinking that if they do, this treatment to Mask, I'm going to be very, very, very happy. So that's why Gem is relevant in my life. I'm not going to go out of my way to get this Gem doll figure, whatever you want to call it. But as I said, I think it's kind of cool that it's out there. In related news, because it's Mattel, the sort of revealed at San Diego Comic-Con Masterverse Panthor. They call it Masterverse Oversized Panthor. I don't know what that means. I don't know why it's called oversized. I've got Battle Cat and it's big, but I wouldn't say it's oversized. So I'm not exactly sure why they're calling this oversized. But this is going to be available for pre-order in a couple weeks here, just on February 11th. And I'm kind of excited. I love mounts. I love this one specifically. I think this one looks fantastic. If it's anything like the Battle Cat, then I think it's going to be fantastic. So this thing looked rad when they revealed it at San Diego Comic-Con, and now we actually have a date that it's going to be available. I don't know if it's a Mattel Creations Direct. I don't know if you'll be able to get this in a store. I don't know if I can just walk into Walmart and pick this up. I guess all will be revealed as we get to February 11th. But yeah, it looks dope, and I think if it looks as good as Battle Cat, I'll pick one up, and if it if it performs the same way that Battle Cat does, I might pick up a second one at a discounted rate a little while after that. So I think this looks fantastic. Really, really excited for it, and I think this works across a lot of lines. And I know that JMax77, you were saying this about Gem, but I think this is very much Mythic Legions adjacent. And I think a couple of these, put an orc on here, put a vampire on here, something like that. I think this would be a really, really cool mount for Mythic Legions. Brick says, I 100% forgot this Panthor was a thing. Yeah, I mean, San Diego Comic-Con is just chaos, and it's just like an absolute tidal wave of news and reveals and stuff like that. And I had forgotten. I'll say that I had forgotten that this was sort of coming out, because I think they announced, like Mondo announced something like this too, like right at the same time at San Diego Comic-Con, and then it was sort of available right away. And so this had just sort of gotten buried. But as I said, we now have a date for the release, which is very, very cool. Ray Paz says, looks like she could turn into Jerica. Absolutely. She comes with an alternate outfit. We're talking about gem holograms again. Yeah, so both look cool. No Chewing's here. What's going on, buddy? Good to have you. And Brick says, she can, except her hair is a bit of a dead giveaway. Yeah, that's true. Larry's Geeky World says he looks badass. Thanos, I think that Panthor will look good with the battle armor Skeletor. Yes. The battle armor Skeletor. I have the new Eternia. What is he called? Viking Skeletor or whatever. And I think he'll look good with that. I think he'll look good with any Skeletor. I mean, this thing looks good. That battle armor Skeletor, you might be right though. That one might be the best match, just in terms of sort of the weight and sort of the sort of sheer sort of aggressive looking nature that he sort of has. So Ray Pass says, I wanted to buy Gem for my niece, but I don't know if she's old enough to swap that outfit out. Only 5. She would probably be close. But if she has parents, she'll probably just make them do it. That's how it works at my house. JMag77 says, all Panthors need to feel like Purple Velvet to be a true Panthor, in my opinion. You're talking about flocking. I love a good flocked action figure. And I would love to see this flocked. I would love to see there be 2 versions. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like flocking, believe it or not. I'm with you though. I would much rather have this be a flocked Panthor. Because it should be. My vintage reissue flocked Panthor, stands proudly on the shelf next to me. Bryophytus is one of my favorite Mythic Legions figures. The Origins, his name's eluding me. I thought he was on my desk, but he's not. Where is he? Origins Mossman has like some of the best flocking ever. I love the flocking on that figure. And Ray Pat says, don't sleep on Masterverse anymore. They aren't going on clearance like before. I haven't been. I've been picking them up, as they've been coming out. I've actually got this guy right next to me. I'm still going to do a video for Fisto. I'm all in on the new Eternia stuff. And I'm not a MOTU guy. These figures are very, very good, and I like the aesthetic of them, so I'm down. Um, Larry's Geeky World says my girlfriend can't stand flocking. Well, fair enough. Everybody's gonna have different ideas of what they want and what they don't want on their action figures. Ray Pass says no flocking way. This Panthor looks good as is. I'm not saying he doesn't look good. I'm saying I would love to get a flock version. But I'm also saying it would be great if they did 2 versions. Maybe there's a Walmart exclusive that is flocked. I think that's where the flocked Origins Panthor was. Maybe they do a version that's flocked that's an exclusive and another version that isn't. I don't know. All right, moving on, because I feel like we'll probably end up spending a decent amount of time on zombies. Moving on. This was announced a couple weeks ago, but it was announced sort of in time for the show last week. But because last week we didn't do this, we did Spiro, we did Animal Wars of the Kingdom on Monkey Business. I didn't get to talk about the Master Cats or the Thunders of the Universe. I don't know what you want to call them. The jury's still out on what the sort of funny name for these is going to be. I lean towards Master Cats, but these look fantastic. I love these, and I am, based on this wave, probably all in on these. Price points seem reasonable. What you get is very, very cool. We're still in Mattel universe, so we're still talking about, the cats. Battle Cat as a humanoid, to me, is fascinating. I think this looks really, really cool. These armors presumably are all going to be removable, so you can kind of swap them around and use them on different lines, different figures, stuff like that. And I love them. I mean, I love that they give you options. I love that you get sort of a different hair option for Chitara. That armor looks removable. I am torn. I don't know if I need 2 sets or if I'll be okay with just one, because the armor on this looks amazing. That alternate hair looks like it'll be really, really cool. However, this does give me a very, very inexpensive way to have sort of a set of Thundercats to play with. We play with my Super 7 Ultimates, but these ones are great, and these ones will work with Origin stuff, and my kids play with the few vintage Thundercats that I have. They just mix them in with the origins. My brain's cooked. Can you tell? These will fit with Origins. So my kids play with the vintage Thundercats with Origins, and Lion-O in Castle Grayskull, and Mum-Ra in Snake Mountain. But now we'll actually have characters that are sort of designed to fit and interact with that scale of figure. So I'm very, very excited about these, and I said, this wave looks fantastic. I think they picked a good selection of characters. You get Lion-O right away, you get Mum-Ra right away, Chitara, so you get you get the women in there right away, and then Battle Cat is sort of like a cool addition, because it's not a Thundercat. So I think it's just a really, really cool first wave, and I've seen, but I can't remember what they're doing for the second wave. I want to say that it's Panthor or Panthro. I got Panther's names mixed up in my brain here. Panthro, Tigra, and then I think one other figure that I can't remember. But these look amazing. They look really, really cool. I like that they give you options, so you can do a Skeletor or a Mum-Ra with this one. I mean, 100% mine's going to be a Mum-Ra. But cool that they're giving you the options. So yeah, very, very excited about these. Very excited that we're getting sort of a lot of Thundercat stuff, that there's sort of a lot of Thundercat stuff going on. In a related Thundercats news, this popped up in sort of feeds, and then by the time I saw it, which was within a couple hours of it being posted, these figures were gone. So it sounds very much like Super 7 Ultimates that have been, unavailable for a while. Different amounts of time. I mean, Lino was wave 1. I think Slythe was wave 2, maybe wave 3. But then the Thunder Kittens, which were very, very recent, are seemingly getting a re-release. So this went up on Toy News International on, I believe it was Friday or Thursday or Friday, can't remember. It's January 30th. Why can't I remember when that was? It's the 2nd today, so that would have been on Thursday. So on Thursday, this post went up and said these are going to be available from Big Bad Toy Store for pre-order for the normal Super 7 Ultimates price. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Click the link. Sure enough, the link doesn't give me what I want. It gives me the Thundercats Ultimates on Big Bad Toy Store, but they weren't there. So I don't know. I suspect it's just a case of these just got posted a little bit too early. But I'm excited about this. The other thing that I think might be part of this, and I don't know, I think it's too early, but I also think there's another interesting thing. They said Lino version 2, and I know that they updated Lino a little bit when they were making them, with Wave 1. I think there was a version 2 or an updated version when they sort of reprinted some Wave 1 stuff. But I'm curious if this isn't the Lino that's meant to be in this picture. I'm wondering if they're going to use that new buck, the new pinless buck, to release this. And so I wonder if this picture is 100% accurate or not, because this is the old version, with the big chonky pins. But I'm hoping we get an Ultimates version of Lino that matches this color. The Super 7 Deluxe Lino that I saw in a Target did not really appeal to me, but I've heard that the figure itself moves better and kind of poses better, and that it's an overall sort of a better Lino. But the color was just weird. It seemed a little bit washed out, and I really hope that they do a pinless, updated version of Lino, because I'd totally be into that. And this Slythe, I don't have Slythe. I need Slythe. I was late to the party. It didn't pick him up when he was available, and missed him, before I sort of decided to sort of go back and sort of pick up a bunch of these extra things. The kittens I've got, they're fantastic. They were on my long list for top 10 figures of the year for me personally. And but I know that they were hard to find. And so I really hope that that other people can get them. I hope that this is just sort of a, hey, we posted this a little bit too early. But this is really a thing, because I know a lot of people missed out on, at least 2 of these. And if there's people that are a little bit late to the party, they might have missed all 4 of them. So let's see. Hey, Allison, what's going on? Ray Pass says, wait, so you can change the figures to the Thundercats aesthetic? It has not been explicitly said, but that is sort of the overwhelming consensus. So just sort of jumping back here, not that this one, but Lino, it looks like the harness can come off, that this can come off. He comes with an alternate belt, so you can pop that off. He comes with alternate boots, so you can make him look exactly like Lino that Chitara, it looks as though, oh, come on, don't do this. There we go. It looks as though the armor piece will come off, and come on. So yeah, and then the boots, as I said, the boots are swappable. So from everything that everybody sort of worked out about these, it certainly seems as though you can make them look pretty much like you'd expect them to, rather than have them be, strictly speaking, like the crossover version. Okay, back to this one. Let's see. Brick says, to know if you saw that unboxed young Lino on Oz's Clubhouse last night, but highly recommend him. Great figure. It looks like a great figure, and it's probably very similar to the kittens, but I just don't need that. I don't need that version of Lino. I passed on it. But anyway, but then again, there's other stuff that I still want from Thundercats that probably a lot of people don't care about or won't want. I want the Frogman from like late in the final season. I don't know why. It's just that when I watched that episode, I was like, that would make a really rad figure. Um, Brick says, yeah, I'm going to need to circle back and get Kit and Cat. Yeah, they're very, very cool. Larry's Geeky World says, Wave 3 for Slythe. Thanos says, I got all of these, but I like them being re-released. Gady's Toy says, he's a big beefy boy, but I love that Slythe. I heard nothing but good things about that Slythe, and I should have got it when I had the chance, but... Larry's Geeky World says, yeah, the deluxe Lino is a bit too pale. Yeah, it really is. Like, and I thought it was just the pictures at first, and then when I saw it in person, I was like, nope, it's too pale. And Brick said the paint on the young Lino is miles beyond the paint job and color choices on the deluxe version. Compared them at the Super 7 store yesterday. The sculpted details on young Lino are also amped up. Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping that deluxe one is a slightly different version, because we are getting the light up eye version of Lino, and I'm hoping it's not quite the same sculpt. I'm hoping that that the light up eyes one will be released as a non-light up eyes version for, the $55 price point, and I hope that that's what's in this wave. I hope this wave is technically 3 re-releases and 1 kind of update, but who knows? I don't know. It was posted, and then then there was nothing posted. I've heard people actually got orders in. I've heard that people ordered the figures on Big Bad Toy Store, and haven't gotten cancellations yet. But that being said, it's only a couple days, so they may have just gotten their pre-orders in even earlier than anybody else. But they did just release, what was it, Wave 12 of Thundercats or whatever the wave is with Cruncher. Cruncher, I'm a little bit tempted by. The other ones in that wave, I couldn't care less. So I wonder if somebody just got their wires crossed, and maybe this one's coming out in a couple weeks, or maybe this one's coming out in a month or whatever. I don't know. I think this happened. This has happened with Super 7 before with Ultimate Waves. I think this happened at least once with Ninja Turtles. Where the wave got released or revealed and then not released for a couple weeks after that. And then they did a course correction wave with Sexy Rat King. Although now, we got sort of a different version of Rat King, which I do think is better, but they included Sexy Rat King's head. And I can't wait to get that figure. And Brian says, I saw the reissue pre-orders disappeared on Big Bad Toy Store. What's up with that? That's what we're talking about. It went up, the link was live. They were there, and then they just weren't. And nobody, Super 7 hasn't said anything to the best of my knowledge. Big Bad Toy Store hasn't said anything to the best of my knowledge. So it's just sort of everybody's waiting and hoping that these get re-released. Brian says, when the purchase order dropped, they showed the old Lino. Is that confirmed, or are they going to do the pinless Lino? Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that they showed the pinless one, and maybe part of the reason that this got pulled is because it's meant to be an updated version. I'm hoping it's meant to be an updated version, and that we'll get more news on this very, very soon. Because even though I have, Wave 1 Lino, I would 100% get another Lino if it was a nice pinless version and a nice, more cartoon accurate sculpt. But I'm, as I said, Slythe, I will definitely pick up. And I love that the kittens are going to be theoretically available again. So, all right, let me move on to G.I. Joe Classified. You guys want to talk about G.I. Joe Classified next? Let's do that. I am going to close some of these tabs so that hopefully my computer doesn't slow down. Let's see. Brian says, okay, thanks for clarifying. I was late and missed the first part of the stream. No, it's all good, Brian. Good to have you, buddy. All right, moving on to this. So this is the G.I. Joe Classified Retro Card Back releases. These reveals went up, I believe, yesterday afternoon. So on Retro Refresh, Repaint, redesigns, we are getting Flint, we are getting CoverGirl, and we are getting the Televiper. All of them look fantastic. The Televiper is an easy pass for me. I got 2 of the Televiper with Trouble Bubble. He's got alternate heads. I personally kind of prefer that darker, more modern aesthetic. If this had come out first, I wouldn't have been disappointed. I just don't need more classified of figures that I already have. I do like the alternate heads with the messaging on it. Which is very, very cool. But the retro card back stuff, I'm a little bit. There's a lot of characters that I still need. I'm looking at the retro card backs as an opportunity to sort of not buy their figures. like it gives me a break where I'm kind of like, I don't even really need to think about getting them. I've got a couple of them, and in some cases, like, they're very, very good figures. The Duke from Wave 1, I absolutely love, but the retro card back Duke looks rad. And the retro card back Scarlet, the other versions of Scarlet have been fantastic, but that retro version of Scarlet, I think there's enough modernization there that it really works. So I got that one as well. But for the most part, the retro stuff, it is fine. If I was going to get into the retro card stuff, I think I'd probably just sell all the other stuff. I'd sell all the more modernized versions, because it doesn't make sense to me to have 2 aesthetics on the shelf. Now, that being said, I think this is an upgrade from what we got. That CoverGirl that we got in Classified, I really, really liked. But that wave, that had Flint in it as well, or sorry, Falcon in it as well, was a little bit of a dud. And again, this guy, nothing wrong with this update. And if you want sort of a true to the vintage figure, here you go. You got extra hands, which is kind of rad, and it's a bummer that like I already have one. This would be great. I would totally buy this if I didn't already have this character. But because I already have this character, I'm just not as invested in picking it up. But in stuff that I don't have, shall we move right into the next set of reveals? And these are all from Toy News International as well, so I'm letting them do the hard work, and just piggybacking on their success. SCS Dog says, I've been on this Televiper for the text visor. I just can't. There's too much other cool stuff to buy, and too much. It would end up in a box. It would end up in my like Troop Builder box, which already has Televipers in it. So I don't know. It is cool that they're doing it, and I'm happy for anybody that sort of didn't get it with the Trouble Bubble and is now able to get it just on its own. I think that's really, really cool. And for people that are people that lean more towards the vintage look and feel, I'm glad that they're doing the retro carded figures. But as I said, just not needed, not necessarily in my collection. Ray Pat says, great render reveals. I'm pretty much down for everything minus the repainted divers. Yeah, that's a tough one, and I'll get there. Because I'm not down for the divers either, but I do really want that mass device element. Larry's Geeky World, if they do another shipwreck, I'm in. Until then, I got mostly what I wanted out of classified. Yeah, I mean, that's my list. My sort of classified wanted list is getting pretty short, admittedly. And so there are fewer and fewer characters that I need. There's a couple more decos of Snake Eyes that I still want. And there's still a handful of characters that I still want, but a lot of them have been announced and are either, you know, already up for pre-order, or they're in these renders, or you know, they're like rumored to be coming. So I don't know how long, I don't know how much longer the classified line is really going to have me as a sort of card carrying member. I'll still pick up the odd one here and there, I think, but I think we're going to end up seeing, you know, version 2s and version 3s of characters sooner rather than later. And then it's sort of like, I just hope that if there's a new version that I like more, that I can sell off the old version, because like I said, I just don't have room or sort of the finances, really. I mean, it kind of comes down to, like, I could probably buy them all, but to what end? You know, to just put them in a bin, it doesn't make sense. So if I'm only going to have, you know, one Duke on my shelf, or I'm only going to have one Beachhead on my shelf, I have to pick which one's going to be there and then sell the other one. So Brick said that snake is too cool. Might have to grab one in a rare cave to the nostalgitis. It is. I want to see more about it, but we'll you know, we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to that particular render. Solo Sinner's here. What's going on? The Joes look great. Flint will be a must-have for me. Looks dope. Cool. Those ninjas look fun, but the money I have by not buying them will go directly into the Bushido fund. Yeah, I love the ninjas. I need the ninjas. Solo Sinner, the new breaker looks good too. I agree. Jay Wright said, "Did you know that AWOC made comics?" All right, so let's take a look at these. The Awe Striker. This looks fantastic, and I'm totally drawing a blank about this character's name, but he's always come with the Awe Striker. Every version of the Awe Striker that they've done has come with this guy, and they've you know, kind of kept him true to sort of design, which I love. You know, with the red hair, the mustache. I love the accessory loadout with this, and I don't love the Awe Striker. These small wheels on the front look weird. I don't remember the Awe Striker having wheels that were that different front to back in terms of size, but you know, it's the Awe Striker, and so I want it. I personally am hoping that this sort of gunner seat on the top here is removable, or that it comes, you know, disassembled and I don't have to put that on, because to me it looks kind of weird. I know that it's like real world. It's kind of like realistic, It's not like one-to-one, but it's kind of realistic based on a vehicle that exists. But it looks off compared to what I remember from G.I. Joe. Crankcase, thank you, SCS Dog. I don't know if that's meant to be pronounced a different way, but SCS Dog. Yes, Crankcase is the character's name. Cool figure, cool character. But yeah, the Awe Striker looks great, you know, and I said the loadout looks really, really cool. So all the stuff that you get with the Awe Striker looks very cool. Toolkit, gas canisters, bullet canisters with bullet belts, rockets. But I'm more excited for what's over on the other side here with the figure. Because yeah, okay, you get the figure, you get the helmet, you get sort of the you know, the full face helmet, which seems like more of like a motocross style kind of look. You get some goggles, you get a mask because, you know, he's driving around in the sand and the dirt. You get the pistol, you get the knife, you get the binoculars, but you also get a visor, a little visor, and what looks like a portable coffee cup, which that's awesome. Whenever they include little details like this that sort of play into the character, you know, I love these, and these are great for world building. And I've said this many times, I'm all for them building out this world with little accessories. I hope they do more play sets, even though that kind of play set that comes with a repainted Alley Viper isn't exactly what anybody wanted. I just like that they keep doing stuff like this. I like that they keep building on what they've already done, that they're not, we didn't get just a repaint of a Vamp again, which they could have easily done, and I would have bought a Tiger Sting. When they release that Tiger Sting, I'll buy it. I didn't buy any Tiger Force figures, but that Tiger Sting I loved as a kid, and I would buy it. But this is awesome. Like, they just keep moving on and moving forward. And in the same way, they do a Joe vehicle, they do a Cobra vehicle. So the snake armor looks very, very cool. Now, I have no idea what the scale is going to be on this thing. I don't know if this is going to come with anything more than what's pictured. I don't know if there might be a figure involved or how that's going to work. But this thing looks absolutely amazing. My suspicion, just based on the way that it looks in this render, is that you'll basically open the front up and somebody will have to sit in it, kind of like the Trouble Bubble. I don't think it's going to be like a full clamshell where the figure's legs go down into the legs. So I'm very, very interested to see how this looks when it gets opened up, if it can get opened up. If it's just a robot and I can't put a figure in it, I might not buy it. If it opens up and I put a figure in it, I'm buying 2 of these. So Jay says, I want a little Fang helicopter already. Me too. But it has been announced, I think, name only. They've also announced that they're doing the Cobra glider, like the glider thing. So stay tuned. I think it's rumored to be 2025 too, or at least, up for pre-order in 2025. So 2025, 2026 maybe. Brian Brink says, with all the figure configurations possible with these extra accessories, they are daring you not to troop build as All Striker. I'm running out of garage space for vehicles. I think I'm just gonna get one All Striker. I'm more of a Vamp guy. And so I've got a couple Vamps, I've got a couple Stingers. I'd buy a Tiger Sting, I'd buy a Mark II. If they did a Stinger Mark II, I'd probably buy that too. But the All Striker, you need one All Striker in your collection for sure. And Ray Paz says, yeah, the Fang is in the pipeline. John says, I'll probably pick this mech up. This is right up your alley, hey? It's not quite Pacific Rim, but it'll have to do, I guess, for G.I. Joe. Brick says, I'll cave if it's large at about 7 to 7.5 inches tall. I think it'll be bigger than that, Brick. I think if you're talking about the snake armor, I think it's going to be bigger. I think it'll probably be closer to like 10 inches. Not that size matters, but Ray Paz, Claw is the glider. Yes, thank you. The Cobra Claw. And I'm good if it doesn't have a figure. I don't do classified generally. I'm good if it doesn't have a figure either, because I have so many troop builders that it's sort of like, if it doesn't come with a figure and it's $30 less, everybody wins because they'll sell more because you've already got the troopers. And you could put I could put my recolored Alley Vipers from my little playset thing that I don't want into my Cobra snake armor. Brick says it just can't be tinier than my Cosmic Legions. I don't think there's any chance that it'll be smaller than Cosmic Legions. I think it'll be nice and big. Pacific Rim adjacent, definitely a buy. The way Hasbro operates, it'll have a figure. I don't know though, because it's not in the render. That's where I'm kind of like, That's why I said I don't know if this is exactly what we're going to get when it gets released or not, because they've typically done it where they've included figures. But they've typically shown us the figures when they've included them with these things. So I don't know. Ray says, I think that would be awesome. I hope these mofos listen to your channel. They don't. I'd rather just have the vehicle. I think they've sort of figured out, just not because of any one person's feedback, but because I think the general consensus with a lot of these is that people are just feeling a little oversaturated with repaints, right? Like there's only so many times you can repaint, a Cobra Trooper. before it doesn't make sense. And a lot of people bought a lot of troopers. I mean, I've got I think between the Cobra Island trooper and the standard release trooper and the officer, I got 12 or 16 figures, so I don't need any more. And I got plenty of alley vipers, plenty of bats. Like I just don't need troop builders anymore. And so this is sort of a way to get me to buy a troop builder of sorts. I mean, you don't want one snake armor, you got to get two. Obviously, I do. But yeah, I think including figures where it makes sense, I'm okay with. Crankcase coming with the Ostriker makes sense. Thrasher coming with the Thunder Machine would make sense. If they did a re-release of Zartan with a Swamp Skier, I'd be okay with that. Like, there's certain releases that make sense that they would have a figure. This one, I don't think it needs a figure. So, Raypaz says it is true. Also, the amount of stuff put out needs to be less. I think the suggestion or the sort of Hasbro said that they are gonna put out less stuff, that they're gonna sort of scale back a little bit, and then of course people overreacted and said Hasbro's not making toys anymore. But what I think what they mean is, like, if you go over to if you go to the His Tank website, they have a picture of all the G.I. Joe classified releases for 2024. I didn't even want to count it. It's a huge amount of figures, and I think they just need to pump the brakes a little bit, because it's just too much. It's too many releases too fast. There's too much other stuff out there, and I think if they release things slower, people would buy everything. But because they're releasing them so fast, and there's still the other stuff on the market that people are buying, I think people are going, well, I want to get Cammy, so if I'm getting Cammy, maybe I'll just skip Cover Girl. Or I'm getting DJ, maybe I'll skip Quick Kick. I think if they space their releases out more and do fewer figures in a year and fewer vehicles and fewer everything, I think they would have more consistent sales numbers across their SKUs. But I don't know shareholders like that, so what do I know? Brian Brink says that long flame effect that comes with the armor is 3+ inches. Okay, that's okay. So this thing is going to be well over 7 inches tall. So what Brian Brink is talking about, and I totally didn't put this together. This flame effect over here came with Torch, who was on my shelf, but he's not anymore. And so what people have basically done is they've taken that flame effect and they've used that to sort of assume the scale of this. So if you assume that this flame effect is about 3 inches long, that thing, if that was sort of, at the toe, I think would come up maybe to the knee. So I think you're probably going to get maybe 3 of those flame effects to the top of the head. So about 9 to 10 inches. He's a big boy. Yeah. Let's see. Raypaz says most definitely want 2 at the least, possibly 3 or 4 at the most. Thank goodness. That's why all their products are always going on clearance. Brick says, I don't think the snake needs a figure. Sticking true to the vintage, it can maybe fit a figure, but can be bought without one. Yeah. And Brian Brink says, agreed. Plus, if a figure is not included, it will be cheaper, which is good because I want a couple of these. Yeah, absolutely. Then Brick says, nice, about 9 inches tall, makes sense. Pilot can sit like a Zendradi inside the body. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. To should we move on to this? All right, as I said at the beginning, Space Zombies for Mars, the Kickstarter is all set up. It's all dialed in. I've got sort of all the stretch goals mapped out. I've got all the reward tiers. I've got everything. Everything's in. Everything is plugged in that needs to get plugged in. There's sort of a 2-step process to get the actual Kickstarter itself approved. So that will be sort of the next step. But everything is in place. Pricing is effectively set. We've done a few things too, and I'm, you know, I things will be announced at a later date, but you know, we're feeling very, very confident about this. We're feeling really, really good. The only the only headache right now is the economy. The economy sucks. Kickstarter is funny in that if you are based in Canada, you have to run your Kickstarter in Canadian dollars. So we are going to be working very, very hard, and we're going to diligently be reminding people that when you open up the Kickstarter and you see the funding goal and you see the prices of things, those are in Canadian dollars. So they will seem high if you don't adjust it to the currency that you're familiar with. But everything that we've done, we've kind of mapped it out in US dollars and then calculated the exchange to sort of have it hit the price points that we want. Part of the reason for that is every bill that we're going to have to pay, whether it be tooling, whether it be manufacturing, whether it be project managers, whether it's you know, shipping, is all charged in US dollars. But Kickstarter being Kickstarter doesn't understand that that's how the world kind of works, and so we have to set it up in Canadian dollars, which is a total bummer because, as I was saying right off the top, you know, the Canadian dollar dropped 2 cents since yesterday. So I finalized all the numbers yesterday, and today the numbers don't make sense anymore, because they're now, you know, the Canadian dollars that will go in our bank account now represent 2% less US dollars. And we have to pay the bills. They don't take 2% off because the Canadian dollar changed. So it's frustrating and it's going to be annoying. But you know what we really want people to know is that we worked out all the prices in US dollars first and then kind of worked backwards. So we're going to wait till the absolute last minute to sort of put the Canadian pricing in. And it may seem even higher then than it does now, if the dollar keeps going in the way that it does. But the sort of US dollar amount won't change, if that makes sense. So you know, if something's if something that we have in the campaign was $10 today, US dollars, when we launch on March 1st, it'll still be represented as $10 US. Now, that might be, you know, 1467 Canadian today. It might be, you know, 1481 on March 1st. I don't know. I can't predict that. It's crazy right now. But it'll still be the same US dollar amount. We are very aware that we're probably going to have more backers in the US than anywhere else in the world. So we're going to try to mitigate some of the cost that, you know, Canadians will incur. I'm going to try to ship all the Canadian orders myself from Canada. Every other order, you know, all the international and US orders will be fulfilled from the United States. So you know, I've done a couple Kickstarters now. I've done some logistic stuff for a couple people now. I've kind of like worked through what works and what doesn't. I'm trying to keep it super, super simple. Trying to keep it super basic and straightforward. What you'll find on this Kickstarter is that wherever we didn't need words and paragraphs, we didn't put them in. We just put pictures and we told you, here's where you go and buy your stuff. Because you know, people overanalyze the words and then other people don't even read them. So we're leaving out as many words as we possibly can. Let's see. Let's see. Brick says, work your patented Kickstarter magic. We'll see. We'll see if it's magic this time around. Thanks to the orange idiot. Well, he's a megalomaniac. It's just he's just out of control, and it's like how many countries can he sort of keep like, will he, won't he? Oh yeah, he will. What's it on? Well, maybe everything, but maybe not. It could change. It could get taken away. The tariff thing is 100% what is responsible for the change in the Canadian dollar overnight. If the tariffs go away, will that correct the Canadian dollar? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. As I said, I can't possibly begin to like predict any of that. So I don't. I just put the numbers in, and the numbers don't lie. So hopefully we'll back. We'll get the job done. We have built in a little bit of a buffer. We don't anticipate that we're personally going to make any money from this Kickstarter. We're really just setting the funding goal as low as we possibly can to make sure that these get made, and that they get made well, and that they get made quickly. We are estimating turnaround time, if everything goes smoothly, at 16 months. So you're looking basically like July, like summer 2026 for delivery. We believe we can do it all in one wave, because there's so much parts reuse that it should just be, it should just be pretty straightforward, and there isn't a huge amount of SKUs, so it should work in our favor there. We have stretch goals, but really, the stretch goals aren't going to be huge surprises, and there's not going to be that many of them, and we won't have extra ones. So we won't, if we double what we need to make or whatever, we won't have more SKUs, because that will just slow things down. That will facilitate us doing a wave 1.5 or a wave 2 sooner rather than later. But we don't want to have mission drift. We don't want to be in a situation where wave 1 gets delayed because we blew it up by 4 or 5 or 6 more SKUs. We want to make the things that we offer in the Kickstarter, and we want to make them well, and we want to make them quickly, and then we want to move on to the next, the next wave, the next thing, the next figure. So that's where we're at. Feel free to put your questions in the chat now. I'm gonna sort of get through these comments here, and we'll go from there. I'm going to be available to answer questions on these a lot. We intend to do a ton of videos. We're going to start doing videos this month. So we're going to do videos through February, and then we're going to go hard through March. And hopefully, if everything goes 100% according to plan, which it never does, hopefully by the end of March, we will, hopefully by like the first week of March, we will be funded, and a whole lot of weight will be lifted off of my shoulders. We're still going to do all the videos, but hopefully the anxiety when we're doing them won't be there. So Brian says, a chart with multiple currencies, challenge accepted. No, I mean, it's not. Just do it in Canadian dollars and let people do the exchange themselves, because it's, when you do a chart, the numbers don't matter so much as the dots, right? You know that, Brian, and I know that charts are great because they're visual, and because they're visual, you don't necessarily need to know what the actual numbers mean. But anyway. That's so weird. The currency, wouldn't Spiro be US based? Yes, Spiro is US based. We are not Spiro Toys. We are the Nameless Toy Company. The Nameless Toy Company is myself, Arlen, and his brother Ira. So there's only 3 of us. I work for Jason at Spiro. Arlen sculpts for Spiro as a contract sculptor. But this is sort of under the friendship umbrella with Spiro, but it's our own company. Now, that's the other thing. If this thing goes terribly sideways, if the dollar goes terribly wrong, we may just ask, to do this through Spiro, and then we can set it up as a US based US dollar thing. I don't know. I mean, that's worst case scenario. We're hoping that none of that plays a part. We're going to have a little video at the beginning of the Kickstarter page that shows, how to change the currency to US dollars, so that, people don't get the same sticker shock, but we'll see. Let's see. Christopher Bouchard says, when we sign up for Kickstarter, Well, you can sign up for Kickstarter now, but the Kickstarter will go live on March 1st. I don't know when we're gonna be able to have the if what you mean is the sort of like precursor thing, like where you can sign up to get the email that says this Kickstarter is live. I don't know how far in advance we're gonna have that, and part of the reason that I don't know is because we're gonna wait till the last minute to set the pricing. As I said, because we have to set it in Canadian dollars, and I want it to look a particular way in US currency. If we could just plug in the numbers in US dollars, I'd be done. But that's that's not how Kickstarter allows us to run it. I said we have a US dollar account. You could deposit the dollars into US dollars, and they said no. If it's a Canadian account, we have to deposit in Canadian dollars, which means you have to run it in Canadian dollars. I think there's something more going on. I think there's maybe legal reasons why they can't do that. I think maybe there's like I think there may be like a Kickstarter. If you run a Canadian Kickstarter, it might get charged in Canada in Canadian dollar. Like I don't know the ins and outs. But it has to be Canadian dollars, so I don't know. Raypaz, so is there a significance to the color of the spacesuits in the lore of that world? I don't read it. I'm totally buying on the look of the Kickstarter. No, I mean the colors are the colors. I mean, green for military makes sense, white for medical makes sense. Blue is arbitrary. The red on the bad guys is arbitrary. It's just stuff that looks cool. There's no there isn't beyond that any real sort of depth to some of that decision making. And Ray Pass says Star Trek blue is for science officer. I genuinely think that that's just somewhat of a coincidence. Blue made sense, and it had to sort of fit into what am I trying to say? We were doing military, science, medical, and a fourth one. And there was certain colors that Arlen wanted to do. Blue was one of them. So military was green, medical was white. The fourth color I think makes sense for what it is. And then the blue one was left, and science was left. So I think they kind of just went together that way. I don't think there's like a big significance in that respect. DJ 5000 says these look great. Thank you, appreciate that. Hope to see you March 1st. Alberto Morales says love these figures. Just back the Cursed Dead, and they got funded by the skin of their teeth coming out of Christmas. So this should fund great. I hope so. The Cursed Dead's timing was not perfect. I also, those are great figures. Those are great looking figures. They're not particularly my aesthetic. I backed that Kickstarter because I want that Mangler. But I think their product is more niche. I think our product is a little bit more accessible to a wider audience, to a wider audience of collectors. And so that's why I'm feeling really, really confident. And again, we've already been talking to some retailers, and we're already sort of working with some retailers to sort of gauge interest and sort of see where they might be. So I think we're ahead of the curve, and I can't wait for March 1st. So that it funds, day one, and then we can start talking about what we want to do next. Larry's Geeky World says, I'm going to try to back a couple figures when it starts. Thank you, Larry's Geeky World. I appreciate that. Jay says, make a Sasquatch as a stretch goal. No, we will not be doing that. Brian says, so will the Canadian dollar tier choices dynamically change in Kickstarter? If not, and the Canadian dollar tanks, won't you not have enough funding to actually make the figures? Yeah, so that's the legitimate concern. And that's like, if we'll be fine because, like I said, I did build a buffer of 3% into the pricing. So if the dollar changed 3% over the course of the Kickstarter, it wouldn't matter. However, the dollar changed like 1.5% last night. So now my 3% is already half gone. So I'll just have to revisit it closer to the date. It doesn't, I mean, there would have to be a like dramatic change in the Canadian dollar um for it to really affect us that much. But say the Canadian dollar dropped 20% overnight, we would be forced to cancel the Kickstarter. And then we wouldn't charge anybody, and we'd sort of rethink and retool and see how to proceed. So I'm not worried about it. Like a percentage or two over the course of the month is fine. Like even if this 2% change had happened, or it's not even a 2% change. It's a 2-cent change. Or is it 2? Anyways, my brain is cooked. If this had happened during the Kickstarter and it was sort of just this amount, it wouldn't really affect it. It's just I don't want to start the Kickstarter behind where we are already right now, if that makes sense. Lego Classic Space Homage figure someday. That would be fun. That would be really, really cool. I mean, I think, what we'll do, yellow head sculpts. But other than that, I mean, you got green, you got blue, you got white, you got red. What are the other colors of original yellow? Did they do a yellow original space guy? And then all black, maybe? I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. If we do like a Lego convention and they want an exclusive, we could totally look at that. Christopher Bouchard says about the Cursed Dad, he backed to get 3 Manglers and a Gordy. Collecting Brother says day one fun. I hope so, man. I don't think it's gonna happen, but like it would be amazing if we could do that. But to that end, I mean, the reason that we put the all-in package out there already, the reason that we're sort of putting all the renders out there already, we want for people on March 1st to know exactly what they're getting themselves into, and that's the reason we're doing videos sort of in February building up to March 1st. Is I think a lot of Kickstarters, launch, and then people have to sort of figure out, okay, what is this Kickstarter? What are they doing? What's the price points? What are the stretch goals? Like what, all that kind of stuff kind of gets figured out after the Kickstarter launches. And for me, I always thought that was sort of like a weird way to do it because you have a limited amount of time. And so, what better way to sort of get ahead of that than to just get all the information out there, and treat it the way that, when we're looking at these G.I. Joe renders, we're looking at figures that we can't even pre-order yet. But what Hasbro is effectively doing is sort of whetting your appetite and making you sort of aware of the things that you're going to want when they go up for pre-order. And so I kind of looked at that and I thought, okay, how do we kind of do that? How do we get this stuff out there? And so that's been, part of the strategy, the sort of slow burn of like one reveal every week as we build up to the Kickstarter. And we will reveal our final sort of render, our final digital render on the Friday before we launch on the Saturday, so that, Friday night, you can go ahead, you can go to bed and like dream about what you're going to wake up and order on Saturday morning. And then, like I said, fun day one, and we can all go home. JMax77 says, I don't really know much about these, but love to support the community. Appreciate that. And even, if you see it posted on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, share it, get the word out. Just make sure, that like, even if you can't back a Kickstarter financially, you can support a Kickstarter by sharing and letting other people know, because it might appeal to somebody else that might not have seen it. So, Larry's Geeky World says, hey, Adam, just wanted to let you know I got my AWOC order in this past Thursday, and I am loving them. And I don't know of anybody that got an AWOC order and was like, "Oh, these are underwhelming." I knew you were gonna love them, but very, very happy to hear that. And Brick says, "Yep, red, yellow, blue, black came later. We're not doing a yellow astronaut, but I will tell you there is a yellow suit in the works that would potentially be like a Wave 2 figure." Um, let's see. And Brick says, "Got to reach out to your Monster Force, Classified, Action Force buying friends. These will be attractive to them, and there's a lot of them. Absolutely. And we're gonna, I'm gonna post in those Facebook groups, and I'm gonna, hopefully we'll do those channels and stuff like that. So, Brick says, "Sorry if I missed it, but do you have a rundown on articulation yet?" No, but they will be, these are going to be like the standard 6-inch scale Hasbro articulation. So it'll be the same as, Monster Force or Classified or Action Force or any one of those lines. Double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. There's articulation at the waist. There's articulation at the torso. The neck is a separate piece from the head. Like I have 3D printed versions of them, so I've sort of seen all this stuff. I will, hopefully in the next week, I will actually have a 3D printed articulated figure of the base body. So, hope it may be as early as next week. I will have a figure that I can actually show you guys on video of how this thing poses and how this thing moves. But it'll be pretty standard. It's not gonna, be, we're not reinventing the articulation. We're not trying to, we're trying to make something that is of the standard that people would expect for a figure like this, I think, if that makes sense. Jay has no friends, so buy these guys and they could be your friends. The way TNT Co. has been marketing and sharing info is perfection. Definitely going to follow this model when the Collecting Brothers drop their toy line. Perfect. And I'm happy to consult when you guys do. Be warned, my fees are getting steeper and steeper. You'll have to hit all those channels. We hope so. I mean, I've got I think there's about 10 or 12 kind of already lined up. But we'd be happy to do more. So if you know a channel that would want to have us, let them know we're available. They can reach out. Christopher Bouchard says the blue, white, and green figures look awesome, and I will check it out and can't wait to get my new AWOC order. Absolutely. Amanda says our kids are gone. My parents picked up our kids to take them to the pool, which is great. We get some peace and quiet here. Alberto Morales says hazard suit confirmed. Nothing has been confirmed except what's on these pictures. These digital renders are the only things that have been confirmed. Let's see. Butterfly. Yes, there is a butterfly joint. Yeah, absolutely. Scott Baker is here. Perfectly timed. He's right here at the end. Okay, I did want to specifically point out one thing. This one right here, okay? So I'm always ragging on black and red as a deco, like as a color choice. And I know a lot of people are gonna go like, you probably don't like this one because it's black and red. I love this one, and it's not just because I'm towing the company line. I love this one because this one is the most retro one, and this deco to me feels like 1950s science fiction bad guy. Like when you look at the color of this guy's suit next to another suit, you go, "Oh, that's the bad guy." Like that, there's no, and that's why I love it. The other thing beyond that, I believe this is going to have like some pretty cool details. Like, so it's a red suit. The suit's kind of like a matte red. And then a lot of the black is matte as well, but there's going to be like gloss black for a few of the details. Not 100% confirmed yet, but my understanding is that like so for like the cuffs and then the like there's a like a shoulder bracer and a that thigh strap thing. Those are all technically like on a spacesuit. Those are usually like metal parts that are painted or anodized or whatever. So those would be like glossy, I think, or at least that's the plan. And I think his boots, there's like his boots will be two-tone matte and gloss as well. This figure looks so rad, and we'll get more into the lore and stuff like that as we get closer to the date. About like what this is, like who this guy is, what he's doing, why he's there, all that kind of stuff. But also some of the unlock goals will sort of shed some light on who these people are and what's going on. It's just really really fun, and I can't wait to like share more of this stuff and to get a little bit deeper into the lore. We will definitely, on this channel, we will definitely do a video probably like the first Sunday in March, which is like March 2nd. I'll do just a straight, front to back Space Zombies from Mars video. Probably have Arlen and Ira on if they'll do it. I told them they have to do videos. They don't have a choice. So hopefully they'll do that one. And we'll get all into it, and you guys can ask all your questions. Star can ask all the questions he wants about the lore and all that kind of stuff, and we'll have a lot of fun. As I said, I'm super excited about this. It has been it's felt like forever that we've been working on it now, and I've only been involved for like 8 months or 9 months. But it's been a lot of hours. It's been a lot of time. Really sort of dialing everything in, really getting everything to where we were comfortable with it and confident with it. And I've been working on the Kickstarter page for quite some time. The renders have changed, like we put the renders in the Kickstarter, we preview it, and we go, it doesn't quite look right. What if we change this a little bit? What if we like manipulate this one a little bit? Where do we put this? What are the reward goals? What are the bundles? What are the add-ons? Are we going to do late pledges? How does that all work? But we're feeling good. And Ray, like you said, March is right around the corner. February is the shortest month. We're 2 days into a 28-day month. We're 26 days away from this Kickstarter going live. So as I said, the Kickstarter page is all done. I just got to plug those numbers in at the end, submit it, and we're good. So I've got more clarity. I was kind of chaotic the last few weeks, but yeah, very very excited. Let's see. Brick says props on the gray skin tone. Yeah, he's yeah. It's a very very cool looking figure. That red one, awesome as well. Will there be a weapon pack? No weapon pack. Our feeling is that there are so many weapon packs on the market that people just have bins and bins of weapons. It's entirely something that we could do further down the line, but we are not going to do it in the Kickstarter. We really want to get figures into people's hands, and that's primarily what we're going to, aspire to do. So yeah, as I said, the stretch goals. The stretch goals are good. I'm very, very happy with our stretch goals. And I think, it's going to make sense. And once the Kickstarter goes up and once everybody sort of sees everything, I think it's all going to make sense. And not having a weapons pack, as I said, means that like the all-in bundle's a little bit cheaper. It means that we have less SKUs, which means that production's a little bit quicker. There's a whole bunch of reasons not to do a weapons pack. We kind of wanted to do one, but the cons outweighed the pros. So no weapons pack in the Kickstarter. But Jason moment and show us something you're not supposed to. Nah, I don't want to do that. I could. I have all the renders. I could show you, but I'm not going to. I like the pacing. I like that you guys are all wanting to see more. If I showed you more, what would we have left? So we've got between now and the launch, we've still got 5 renders to reveal to you. So we're going to continue to do those on Tuesdays. So February 4th, which is 2 days from now, you're going to get another render. You'll get another render on the 11th, on the 18th, on the 25th, and on the 28th. And then between now and then, you'll probably see us on a few videos. You'll probably see a couple other posts that aren't, render reveals or whatever. Like as soon as we get the, Arlen's already got it. He's already got one of the articulated 3D printed figures for himself. He's finishing mine and he's going to mail it to me. So once I have that, you'll get to see that as well. So we still have stuff. We still have stuff to show you, but if we show you everything now, it defeats the purpose of what we've been sort of building towards, every Tuesday for the last 2 months already. So, New York City figure fanatic, good to have you. And he says, man, that bread looks awesome. Justin Mohan says, what themes will be part of this toy line and what influences are there? We'll get more into that when we start getting into the lore and stuff like that. We have to get through Smarch before March. But gore packs, right? Okay, so we initially had planned to do gore packs, but there's a bit of a change of plans on that, which again I think will all make sense in time. And we may release a separate gore. There's still more gore parts that we want to do, but again, it came down to how many SKUs can we fit into a wave and how quickly can we get these to people. And if we add a weapons pack, if we add a gore pack, if we add whatever, the costs go up, the funding goals go up. It gets harder and harder to make it in a timely fashion. And ultimately what we decided is the sooner we can get the figures into people's hands, the sooner we can move on to the next wave. And so that's sort of the underlying motivation for all the things that we're not doing with the Kickstarter. Justin Mohan says weapons can give your characters an identity. They all, all of the figures come with accessories. Like there isn't anybody that there isn't any characters that don't come with something unique to that figure. So there's plenty of stuff there. I don't think anybody's really going to be disappointed. Justin says, if you have lots of waves planned, then you could show us a surprise. One won't matter. Yeah, but that's not. Okay. I see it. I see where you're going with this, but it's not. Brick says, you coming on the news? I heard you say you got stuff lined up. Well, we don't have anything lined up with you, but you're on our list. So we will be doing a video with you if you want us. We didn't want to presume anything. But I'll be reaching out to some people. Reached out to us. Some people I've already been chatting with about the project that we will be doing videos with. And then I also have a list of people that I know that have channels that I will be reaching out to. We had sort of set February 1st, as I said, as the deadline to have the Kickstarter really kind of nailed down so that we can start sort of sharing this with people and sort of getting people to like proof the Kickstarter page and all that kind of stuff. So this February 1st is sort of this now we're like hitting the ground running because as I said, we don't want to wait till March 1st. We want everybody to know about this so that on March 1st, it's on. Justin says, is this an R-rated line or PG? Well, it's toy. It's in toy form. So I like how R-rated can. Well, Thanos knows how R-rated toys can be. No, it's. There's blood and guts. I don't know. Where does that put it in the spectrum? I don't know. Jay says your first con should be in Vancouver. It probably will be. Once we have toys in hand, I'll probably do the Vancouver Toy Show. Well, it depends when we get them, I guess. But like the Cherry Bomb show in Victoria, the show in Vancouver that does it's twice a year. There's some shows out east in Ontario too, and my family, my extended family is in Ontario, so it's entirely possible that I could ship, some stuff out there and do a couple conventions in the summer. Once we have figures in hand, we're definitely going to do Canadian shows. We are, a Canadian Kickstarter. We got to do this thing in Canadian dollars. And we hope that people will like that and want to support us, eh? Justin said, did you do the email thing where you sign up for a notification on Kickstarter when it launches? No, and we can't do that until everything's locked. And as I was saying with the currency conversion thing, we're gonna wait as long as we possibly can to lock that in. So we probably won't have that till about a week before. So stay tuned for that. Once we have that, and we'll let everybody know, and I'll put it out there everywhere that I can. Like I said, that'll be something that gets shared whether people like it or not. It's gonna go in like Ninja Turtle groups and stuff. I don't even care. I'll post it everywhere and they can get deleted, but yeah, I'll be posting it everywhere. Justin Mohan, what part of Ontario? My parents are originally from Grimsby, Ontario, in the Niagara region. So yeah. And for anybody that is not that doesn't know where Grimsby is or the Niagara region, it's right around the Great Lakes. It's between Detroit and Buffalo, I guess is the easiest way to describe where that is, I guess. I don't know. Well, Buffalo. It's not that close to Detroit. All right. It is like just about 3:30. We've gone, an hour and 22 minutes. Brooke's going to be on in 15 minutes. You've got enough time to take a bathroom break, get a snack, do what you need to do. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you guys. It always is. Always fun to have you guys in the chat. Stay tuned for more. More highly articulated, talking about toys that aren't zombies, but as we get closer and closer to zombies, I'm gonna be, we'll have more to share, we'll have more to talk about, we'll talk about pricing more when we get closer to the date, because I didn't mention anything. We've only done one post with that bundle, and that's the all-in bundle. So I will point out, if you want one of everything that we make, that's the price point right there. If you want less than that, you're looking at a smaller price point. So I'm super, super excited that we were sort of able to hit what I think is a very reasonable price point. So, yeah. And Brick says, I'm on with one of your BC compatriots. Anyways, been a pleasure. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.